Mr. Hawkins with Hawkins Tech, and iOS 26 has been officially released. And welcome to the live stream. There is going to be a lot to cover in iOS 26. Welcome to the live stream. Going to be a lot to cover here. There's going to be a lot to cover in iOS. I started right on time here. Going to be a lot to cover here. Give me 1 second. I just need to mute it real quick. So we have quite a lot to talk about in iOS 26. Now, if you just installed iOS 26 or you've just gotten around to installing it, I want to tell you some of the new features that we have in it. Now, let me spin my camera around here. I am live streaming off the iPad this time around. Now, in iOS 26, we have a new feature that Apple calls liquid glass. And essentially, it's a new design language from Apple. If I go into, for instance, Apple Music, and we scroll around here, as you look closely, you can see some of the glass effect as it sort of goes across the screen here. So that's a new change. And it also carries into Control Center. You might not see it entirely, but you somewhat would be able to see. It might be a little blurred, but they've tweaked it a lot in the betas. Then we have it here on the app folders. You can somewhat see behind part of the Photos app, but it is a little blurred in the background. And you can see through the folders here. Now, the app dock and folders itself are not dark like they used to be. The app dock and folders are lighter in iOS 26. Now, if I scroll to the lock screen here, we have some new changes. Once I get into the lock screen here, we have new changes, and not just new changes, with some new wallpapers here as well. For one thing, I can make the clock super large. Then I can scroll to see our new wallpapers here. The new wallpapers that we have, which are Shadow, Sky, Halo, and Dusk. Hopefully they pick up good on camera. And here they are in light mode. Here is Dusk, Halo, the new sky wallpaper, and the shadow wallpaper. And this one is the dynamic one. And I've made the clock super large. Now, if I go to this photo here, which is a place I took, or a photo I took at a place I was at, you can make the clock super large. And the way you do that is there is a grabber there is a sort of grabber here. I may have to turn off the effect for it to work fully. But there is sort of a grabber here. And then if I press on that or touch the grabber, it's kind of difficult to do this one-handedly or looking back at the camera here. But you can see that I can make the clock really large. And that is honestly a very nice change in iOS 26. And if we go ahead and add widgets here, the widgets also pop in. Let me go ahead and set this as my wallpaper. Sometimes it is a little bit laggy, as the iPhone 12 is an older iPhone. Now let me just make sure that this live stream is public here. And also RAM is not great on this device. Okay, so I got some comments. For whatever reason, they're not coming in on the iPad. Yes, this is public. Let me see if I can tweak around. I don't understand why I'm not getting any of my comments through here. Okay, let me see if I can see the live chat. Okay. Even though YouTube doesn't let you zoom them in, the live chat doesn't want to stay on there briefly. It only wants to stay on there briefly and not fully. Let me see if I can add in the live chat. Hopefully I can get it to stay. I don't think it will though. Well, the comments on here are very tiny, but I will try to answer your questions. Just give me 1 second here while I work with this live stream. Haven't live streamed on the iPad in a while here. Okay. For some reason, I don't know why live chat isn't showing up properly here. Well, like I mentioned before, I will definitely try to answer your questions. There should be like an option to keep the live chat. Okay, so looking at the chat, let me use my iPhone's camera here. As these comments, YouTube really does not make them super large here. Somewhat of a frustrating experience trying to live stream on the iPad here. So far, I only have 2 comments live in the chat field here. And I will take a look at both of them. I'm not really going to get into that topic. I don't really discuss politics on this channel. But I may give my opinion on my other channel, Hawkins Tech Vlogs, once I might do a video, but at the same time, I don't really want to get into politics on this channel. That's not what this channel is about. So I can't give you my opinion on that, unfortunately. But also taking a look at some of the new changes we have here. This is a photo I took at a place I went to, not far from me. And you can see here, we have some updates to the home screen. If I could, I absolutely would, and you guys would be the first to see me get the iPhone. I would indeed get the iPhone 17. I've seen its design. I love it. The camera plateau is absolutely amazing. And there is tons of pictures to cover of the new iPhone. But I just don't have enough to get it. Hold on a minute. I really wish YouTube can keep the comments here. I'm going to have to screenshot some of these comments as YouTube doesn't really make them super large. I haven't really took a look at the Google Pixel. I have had a Samsung Galaxy A15 on this channel, but currently my brother is using it. But I heard that One UI 8 should be rolling out. I might have to see if that device is compatible, as I will do a video on One UI 8. I did a video over the summer of One UI 7, which is the latest version, which is basically Android 15. At the moment, one iPhone I do want to get is the iPhone 15. I'm hoping to get that at some point. Now, also I'm going to mention here in iOS 26, you see I have the clear icons enabled here. And if I go into dark mode, well, if I go into, we have light mode, automatic, and dark. One thing I really like that Apple has done here was they added the ability for your iPhones in the tint section. Not only do you have the option to tint your iPhones matching your case color, but if you don't have a case color, like this is not a third-party Apple case. I did not mention this on the channel. This is a case that my brother got for me about a while ago. It's not a MagSafe sort of case here. It just doesn't line up perfectly with my camera protector that I got to figure out a way to take off. Not on the case, but on my iPhone. As when I got this case about 2 years ago, it came with this plastic camera protector that I was not aware once you put on, you can't really take it off, unfortunately. So looking out of the ultra wide camera with this case here, just let me go into it here. Looking out of like the ultra wide camera, you guys can see that the way it looks. That's because of the camera protector and the sort of like the design of the case, but it's not the case's fault. It is a really good case. It does have the ring in the back, so I'm sure I can get like a MagSafe accessory and charge it up. It probably is a MagSafe case. Then again, might be a third-party MagSafe case. But it is a really good one. But you also have the opportunity, or the ability rather, to tint your icons matching your case color and your iPhone's color. Now you can see it's matching my iPhone color. Let me take off the case and show you guys. You guys already know I have a red iPhone 12. This is the same iPhone I've been using for 3 years. And it works flawlessly. Now, there is some occasional lag on iOS 26, like earlier. When I first tried to do my What's New video, the iPhone completely froze up on me. Luckily, I was able to turn it off and turn it back on. Didn't have to restart it, and that simply fixed it. There will be occasional lag from time to time with the older iPhone. So getting the iPhone 17 would be a step up for me, as it would be an upgrade from my iPhone 12. But here is the iPhone 12 with the red icons matching the color of my iPhone 12. Now, also in iOS 26, people who didn't like the Photos app in iOS 18, they're going to find this feature to be amazing. Let me spin the camera around here. So in iOS 26, this is the new Photos app. A lot of people didn't like the one in iOS 18 because everything you had to scroll up was on one view. Well, now Collections is its own toggle in iOS 26. And I loved the Photos app in iOS 18. Back in December of last year, I made a video showing you how to organize it, and another video showing you a little bit later, like earlier this year, how to organize it, a more updated video. Though you can still organize the Photos app in iOS 26, it just has more updates than before, where everything is not on one view now, like it used to be. Now, the camera icon looks different. This is the new camera icon. This is how it looks in iOS 26. If we go into the new camera icon, this is the camera. Everything is on the bottom with the video and different toggles. Let me go into, show you guys this. Like if we go into here, we have more options like night mode and different things like that. Then trying to see if there's another toggle for more options. There really isn't for that one. But we do have some updates. We do have some updates with the camera. Like if you tap on video, you have, or photos, you have your different options for that. Now let's see what happens if you tap on video. Well, you just get some video options. And I will be trying this out. Like there's an option to use the flashlight. And not sure what this option would do here. Like you do have some pretty great options here. Now also in iOS 26, there is new ringtones, but I'm not going to play them. Even though a lot of other YouTubers play them, I'm still not, as I don't want to take a chance of getting copyrighted, as I don't own the copyright to those ringtones. But there are new ringtones, and if I just go into them here, I'm not going to play them, but we do have some new ones. We have Dreamer, Buoyant, Dreamer, Pond, Pop, Reflected, and Surge. And I like the Buoyant ringtone. Then we also have another one called Little Bird. Which is a new ringtone here as well. So we do have some updates in iOS 26. And the Mail app does have an update. So there is a slight update. Now in Safari, there is liquid glass and the tab bar is floating. I showed this off in my What's New video, but you can see the tab bar is floating. And here is the iPhone 17. I already did a live stream where I showed it off. I believe that was last week. Hopefully, I am able to get this phone, but I do want to get the iPhone 15, as the iPhone 17 Pro is a lot of money. But here is a quick look at the iPhone 17 and its new colors. We just go into it here. These are the new colors. We have deep blue, cosmic orange, deep blue, cosmic orange, and silver. And the new iPhones are getting released on Friday. So they are getting released on Friday, September 19th. Now there is so many features in iOS 26. I am going to find some more features to cover. Like for example, in iMessage, we have backgrounds. I'm going to try to go into a specific conversation here, but let me just watch back the live stream here. I am going to find some more features to cover. In iMessage, we have backgrounds. I'm going to try to go into a 6. I am going to find some more features to cover. Like, for example, in iMessage, we have backgrounds. I'm going to try to go into a specific conversation here, but let me just watch back. In iMessage, we have backgrounds. I'm going to try to go into a specific conversation here, but let me just watch back. Let me just mute this really quickly here. Oh. So there are new features in iMessage. I just got another comment. Give me 1 second here. This case, I haven't really decided to fully use it yet. It is a nice case, although the only problem is when looking out of my ultra-wide camera on my iPhone, it kind of looks like I'm looking out of a tunnel. And that's mainly because of the camera protector. I may try to see if I can get like a different case with this sort of piece more opened, like how it is on, like how this case is here, how this one is closed up. The one on my left is closed up, but the one on my right is open. I'm going to try to see if I can get one like this one, but also with the same kind of ring in the back. And then I will do a video on the channel and review it for you guys. Now, in iMessage, just got to make sure I don't show any of the numbers here. If I go into one of them that allows me to create a background here, in iMessage, you now can have backgrounds. So if I go into a random background here, and it even allows me to use the photo in the area I took. I can go through the different styles. That's pretty cool. That Apple allows you to do that. But if I go into it here, we even have backgrounds in iMessage. This is honestly a really nice feature. So that's one of the new changes in iOS 26. Now, we also have a new preview app. Preview is I guess you can say it's an updated version of the Files app. And this is a picture I took over the summer. Realistically, it's actually my office, my second office here. I will quickly show it to you guys here. Occasionally, I would sometimes do videos in here. I took care of that over the summer. Give me 1 second here. So that is my second office. I believe I talked about it on my channel, my other channel, Hawkins Tech Vlogs. But in the preview app, you can preview different photos. I believe if I wanted to like edit this photo, I can. If I wanted to draw on it, I could with the markup tool or the sort of tool that's mimicking the Freeform app. And you can also share it as well. So the preview app is pretty nice. Now we also have a games app, and here's what the preview icon looks like. Here's what they look like in light mode. Here's preview, and here is games. Games is an all-new app. It's essentially a more updated version of Game Center. Back in 2021, Apple added Game Center as a widget in iOS 15, but it was not a standalone app. Now, if I go into a game here, one that I may have or may have deleted, like for example, there was a driving game that I had downloaded, see if it's still here. Car parking multiplayer. This was one of the games about a couple years ago that I have downloaded, and it does show up in the games app. So this is like an app store for your games, pretty much. And it is pretty nice, and it even is available on the iPad. And I am going to have a What's New video out tomorrow covering every change in iPadOS 26. And we even have the new windowing system, but I'll cover all of that on the iPad. Now, if you go into the Tips app, Tips gets an update where it shows everything. Whereas on prior builds of iOS 26, it will only show the sort of the home screen with all of the icons dark, with only the feedback app visible, and scroll to the next page would only say or the number 26. Well, now they brought a full walkthrough of how to use the update. It talks about the new clear look, the new lock screen. It talks about shrinking the time, updated iMessages. It even talks about silencing unknown callers as a new feature in iOS 26, or screen unknown callers. I'm going to have to screenshot this as I'm going to have to. You can even screen unknown callers as a new feature in iOS 26. So there is quite a lot of features in this update, and there is more to cover. With Liquid Glass, we have some new updates throughout. Now, I will show you, if you want to turn off liquid glass, you head over into accessibility. Then you want to tap accessibility. Then I believe you head over to display and text size. Then you want to head over to reduce transparency. Now, whenever you go into an app, it will get like a darker effect. If you don't like the liquid glass, that is how you turn it off. It's not a complete rollback to iOS 18, but it is something. But I don't really use it a ton, so I'm going to keep it off. And we also have updates. I believe the only update to Journal is the fact that it's now on the iPad, that and the phone app. And we even have a new control for reminders. If I go into the control center here, in the bottom, it'll be my bottom left since this is looking backwards to me. But there is a new dedicated control, which is all new for reminders. There is a new reminders control in iOS 26. Now, as far as some other features, going over the majority of changes, there really isn't anything new in Mail. But Apple is bringing liquid glass to third-party apps. Like here is Mercury Weather. They are bringing it to like third-party apps. Now, I'm not going to go into FaceTime, although I could, but I got to make sure I don't show any of the numbers here. But in FaceTime, you have like larger contacts. And that's a really nice new feature in iOS 26, where the contacts are more squared and they're larger, as it's showing the profile pictures. And that's also carried across to the iPad as well. And also the animation. One thing I forgot to mention, when you scroll, let me just clear these notifications here. When you scroll to the lock screen, watch as it slowly takes the bottom of the home screen and then it'll all disappear. And then when you scroll back up, let me show it to you again here. Let me show it to you in light mode here. And then watch how they all bounce up. Let me try to spin the camera around and see if I can do it a little bit more better here. So watch as I scroll down the lock screen, and they disappear, and then they all sort of bounce up. That is a nice new change in iOS 26. So animations are pretty smooth for the most part on iOS 26, apart from some lag when this phone gets warm. As you guys know, this is an older model. This is the iPhone 12. It's been out for nearly 5 years at this point, and I do got to upgrade. But the 12 does run pretty good on iOS 26. Apart from lag and some freeze ups from time to time, as this device ages, I haven't ran any Geekbench scores. And what's surprising is I was on the RC and I turned off beta updates and I got the iOS 26 public release. Well, that was because there was a new build number. The build number of the RC was 23A340. Well, the iOS 26 build number, it was 23A341. And that's why there was an updated version, even if you were on the RC. Let's see how long I've been recording for. Almost an hour. I'm not going to make this entirely an hour, as there might be small changes I haven't fully got into yet. But we are supposed to get live translation with AirPods. But I think that's going to be an iOS 26.1 feature. And I will let you guys know this now. I am going to have a video, and for whatever reason, beta updates tends to not want to show up from time to time. But when iOS 26.1 comes out tomorrow, hopefully, in the form of beta, or it might even be today, but most likely it's tomorrow, I am not going to install the first initial beta. I know I've been installing the beta since public beta 5 or beta 8 for developers, but that was a late stage beta. And that's typically how I'm going to do it going forward. Every iOS version until I get a new iPhone that will run on an older software. So here I have beta updates. If I go ahead and turn this to on, you can see here I have the feedback app. And if I go into the release notes here, you can see these are the release notes for iOS and iPadOS 26. I'm going to let you guys take a look at it for a few seconds. I'm not going to go through all of them, but those are the release notes in iOS 26. But since I don't want my iPhone trying to get the beta tomorrow for iOS 26.1, I am going to turn off beta updates until at least iOS 26.1 beta 4, beta 3 maybe. Then I might consider installing the iOS 26 developer beta 1 or the developer beta 4 or 3 rather, or maybe even the RC. As I'm not going to put early betas on my device, late stage betas definitely, early betas probably not. That is, of course, until I have like another iPhone to run stable on either the late stage betas or iOS 26.0. Then I'm going to use this phone fully for beta testing with every beta. Until then, I'm only going to use like the later betas. So I'll be covering iOS 26.0.1 or iOS 26.0.2. And then when iOS 26.1 beta 4 comes out, I'll update to iOS 26.1 beta 4 or the RC. That's how I'm going to do it so that my iPhone can run stable and not have any issues. So that's going to be it for this live stream pretty much. This is iOS 26 Deep Dive, where we go into all of the new features in iOS 26. And I mentioned this in a What's New video, but I forgot to mention it here. Unfortunately, if you have an iPhone XR, an iPhone XS Max, or an iPhone XS, unfortunately, you will not be getting iOS 26. You will be stuck on iOS 18, 18.7, 18.7.1, and so on. As the older iPhone, like the XR, XS, XS Max, they cannot run the liquid glass, the updates to iOS 26. So unfortunately, you will need to get an iPhone 11 or newer in order to get iOS 26. iPad compatibility is the iPad 7th generation is the only one that's dropped. I still have my iPad 7th generation here. So let me pull it out really quickly here. So if you have the iPad 7th generation, this is the iPad 7th generation. Unfortunately, it will not be getting iPad OS 26. It is iPad 8th generation and later, iPad Air 3rd generation and later, iPad Pro 3rd generation, 12.9-inch 1st generation, 11-inch and later, and iPad Mini 5th generation and later. If you have an iPad 7th generation, unfortunately, that is dropped as well. But that's no surprise, as the iPad 7th generation has the A10 Fusion chip. So it definitely is an older model. So hopefully you enjoyed this update regarding iOS 26. It is, without a doubt, such a great update. And I posted the update screenshot on my YouTube community page. And this is iOS 26. So I'm going to end this live stream for now, as I have been recording for 48 minutes. So that's definitely under an hour. I did say initially this is going to be over an hour long. Well, this is under an hour, but it's still close, very close to an hour. So hopefully you enjoyed this live stream. I'm going to do this next year for iOS 27. Every year, and hopefully I get a new iPhone, as the iPhone 12 is not going to get iOS 28. I believe iOS 27 is going to be the last version for the iPhone 12, as well as the iPad Air 4th generation. So I got to upgrade my iPad as well. But I'm going to do that hopefully next year. But hopefully this year I get to upgrade the iPhone. Between the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 14, I don't really care which model I get, as long as it's 128 gigabytes of storage and it can run iOS 26, which is an all-new design from Apple. I'm Mr. Hawkins with Hawkins Tech, and make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. I didn't get a ton of comments on this live stream, But let me check the view count, as I hope this live stream can go to a high number of views. 33 views is what I have on here. I'm Mr. Hawkins with Hawkins Tech, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.